Hey, this is Corey with Fix My Report, the leading authority in credit scoring, with video credit mastery training video number 3. I'm excited because now we're really getting into the meat of what is on a credit report. So let's get right to it. Now, the credit report is going to consist of, as we shared in the first video, 8 different sections. I like getting right to the trade section of a credit report to determine, first of all, if those individual trade line items, meaning creditors, are properly listed on the right file, the right section. So in this case, I'm looking at a copy of a client's credit report, and if there are no late payments in the trade section, that's correct, because only late payments would show up under the derogatory section of the credit report, or perhaps the public record section. So in this case, this client, sorry, this client has a Wells Fargo Card Services account, which is in good standing. There's a high balance on it. Now, high balances versus the there's nothing wrong with a high balance. There's a problem with the high balance if it's close to the high limit. So, for example, if you have a Wells Fargo credit card, let's pick on Wells Fargo, and you have a $10,000 high credit limit, and you owe $9,978 on it. That is 99.78 times of 100, 99% of 100. That is a very high debt limit versus your high credit limit. Then you're going to be negatively scored because you do not want to go in excess of 30% on any debt. If you can even bring it under than that, that would be great. Now, if you don't have any access to any other credit cards, then you actually have to work to pay that account down. If you do have access to other credit cards, then you could spread that debt, that $9,978, you could spread that debt over maybe 3 or 4 different credit cards. 1,000 here, 1,500 here, 2,000 here, 1,000 here. That way, it starts to balance and bring balance to the credit report, which is what you want. Oftentimes, when you're working with these distressed, motivated sellers, they have collections and charge-offs, maybe repossessions, maybe a foreclosure from the past, or currently they're in the foreclosure, obviously, because you're working with them. You're going to have a number of problems on the report, and the number one thing that they want is to get out of pain. They want to get out of pain. So if you could show them how to be able to get out of pain and do something for them that would give them just a lot of value, taking care of their credit, for example, analyzing a copy of their credit report can make a huge, huge difference. So in looking at the actual trade lines, one of the things that you could do in a situation where the high credit limit, say $10,000, is close to the current limit, which is $9,978, you could pay it down. That's the easiest thing to do. Nobody ever likes giving money to credit card companies. I certainly don't. And you can lower that down. If you have access to $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, you pay that thing down, or you can take that $97.78 and spread it over several different cards. Okay, so that's what can be done on a open credit card with high debt and no additional credit cards available. I would look to apply for another credit card. It may be possible that you can get approved and then transfer some of that debt away. In the absence of that, high debt is one of the biggest challenges to work with because some clients that I have 2 physicians that have over $680,000 of credit card and student loan debt combined, and their income is strong, but they don't want to miss any payments. They don't want to have damage their credit. Their credit is still strong, primarily because of their payment history, but their debt load is whopping. Okay, so whopping debt is a very hard thing to deal with unless somebody can file bankruptcy to extinguish that debt. Okay, so the next section that I look at is the derogatory trade section. This is really where I think you're going to find the greatest potential value in working with these distressed motivated sellers, as I have. I look at, again, I'm focusing on the individual, the man, not the property right now. By focusing on the individual, we are now partnering together to solve a problem for him. And by educating him, now we're building more and more rapport, and we really just kind of want to be, they just kind of really want us to be like them anyway. And the more rapport we can build with them, the greater the likelihood that we're going to get a better and better smoking deal. And so, under the derogatory trade section, you want to look at why is it derogatory? Why is it a problem? Were there late payments on it? Did it go to collection? Right? Was it a charge-off account? Was it an installment line of credit that went bad? Why is this individual item on that derogatory trade section of that credit report? How long ago did it happen? You want to look at that. You want to look at the creditor name, right? You want to look at the creditor name. You want to look at the date of last activity, when the account was opened to the creditor. You want to look at the balance owing. You want to look at how many late payments there were, and if there are any current open balances outstanding, and of course, if it's being reported to all three major credit agencies. Because if you only need a small score bump on Experian, why focus on TransUnion and Equifax? Focus on Experian. Focus on what's going to bring the credit scores up as quickly and as fast and inexpensively as possible. Who cares about everything else, right? But if you're working with a distressed seller, they're going to want to really get all the insight possible into why their credit is the way that it is. And they'll probably give you some really great stories about it as well. Next, underneath the derogatory section is going to be the collection section. The collection section of the credit report, that's my favorite. That is my favorite section of the credit report. Collections, charge-off, lates, repossessions, perfect. Those are fantastic. Those oftentimes are the highest value items that you could get on that you can get increased on your credit report. I cannot begin to share with you the value of this collection information section. So let's get right into this. So for example, this client has Grant Weber. Grant Weber is a collection agency for medical bill for $2,122. One would say, well, did she owe it? Did she not owe it? Client owes it. Okay, great. What do we know about Grant Weber? Well, we know Grant Weber is a great collection agency, and they will absolutely delete the negative information off the credit report with a negotiated settlement. Now, you wouldn't know that, but I would know that because we've worked with Grant Weber for 13 years. By being able to know which creditors will delete information on your credit report or for your clients or modify it in some way, your scores will increase, which will give you that much more credibility and integrity with your seller. Next, under the collection sections, you may find that there are paid collections and there may be open collections. If there's a paid collection, that means somebody paid the account. I highly recommend do not paying these accounts, because if you paid these accounts, oftentimes what will happen is a re-aging system. Re-aging means the account will be updated directly at the credit bureau level, which will update the account in the calendar month it's updated and drop the credit scores, usually 35 to 80 points. I highly do not recommend anybody ever pays a collection. It can be the worst, most problematic action that you take that would stop you from accomplishing the very financial goals that you're actually after acquiring, such as a home. Many brokers sometimes coach their clients to pay the accounts, which is the worst thing that you can really do. Okay? And so don't do that. So the little tweaks that matter, that's a little tweak that matter. Okay? Don't pay an open collection. If you have any questions about it, research them online who the creditor is, if they delete or not, or you're welcome to give me a call anyway, and I'll tell you if they do or not, because we have got nearly 4,000 creditors that we work with, and knowing their processes and procedures absolutely makes a difference. So the real impact, okay, the real impact of these accounts are substantial. Okay, you're going to find some real value in the collection section and in the derogatory section of a credit report to increase value for somebody and add some real clarity to solve problems for people. And oftentimes people will, my experience is, people will graciously accept your help when it comes around to taking care of credit-related issues. And inquiries, lastly. Inquiries and what to do about them. Well, you know, inquiries, the rules around inquiries shifted a couple years ago. You used to be able to dispute them off your credit report, and it doesn't happen anymore. So one thing that you can do is if you only need a couple of points to qualify, you can actually call that creditor and have them do an internal dispute directly. So, for example, if let me find a inquiry here. Okay, there's an inquiry from American Express on this client's credit report, and it was done last month. And one of the things that this person can do is contact American Express, say, listen, I never made an inquiry. I never made an inquiry here. Please delete this information off my credit report. They will internally dispute it, which is a far more elegant approach, and in all likelihood, it'll come off your report. So these are a couple of tips that you can do to increase your credit scores and what to look for when you're working with these distressed, motivated sellers. Okay? Now, in the next video, we're going to really work on the actions, what actions you can take to impact your credit scores, and how to get in contact with your creditors, what to never say to your creditors. I've got a number of videos on that. What to ask for, right? You want to do data gathering, and that'll be in our next video, video number 3. So wonderful. I look forward to seeing you in the next several days. Okay, bye-bye.